Welcome to my first ever recap of Miss Universe Great Britain. I'm Dani Walker. Thank you so much for watching this recap. I hope that you'll choose to stick around and subscribe so that you can come back for more episodes very soon. So I decided to recap this one because our winner is actually from the Philippines, and she recently competed at Miss Universe Philippines where she was a semifinalist. So it's very exciting. I'll start by saying there was actually a lot of this pageant in terms of its production that reminded me of American pageantry. So it felt so familiar watching this. When I was watching it, this type of production is what I would see when I was competing in USA locals and at USA state pageants. This is oftentimes what it would look like. And then I thought it was interesting too that they did an opening dance to Beyonce, and it was kind of this like country line dancing number, which is not easy to do in heels. I was like, I feel like they should have been wearing boots for this, but they looked really cute. So let's get right into the performances, starting off with Swim. She's very fit, and I thought that she overall did a pretty good job, but I do wish that she would have gone with a different hairstyle. I just felt like there was something a little bit more complimentary for her, but she's somebody who caught my attention. I also feel like something that could have improved this that she can work on next time if she decides to recompete would just be the smile. So really making that very authentic on stage. She came across as very confident for me. I wish that she would have held her pose a little bit longer, but I thought that she had a nice little hair flip at the end. I have to mention her because she is so facially beautiful. I feel like with some walking lessons and some posing instruction that she could do a lot better next time. But there's potential. Here's another contestant that I feel like has a lot of potential. I just think that she needs to work on that posture and fully extending her knees before taking steps. But she's somebody that I would be thinking, I would love to see you come back again. Christina was very prepared for this. I feel like competing at Miss Universe Philippines is great prep for really any competition. So she did a fantastic job here. She was confident. Her walk was looking great, although I do still feel like it will need to continue to improve leading up to Miss Universe. She looks really pretty, and this swimsuit performance would have been just enough for me to advance her into evening gown. She's really beautiful, and I do see the potential here. I wish she would have extended her legs a little bit more for her walk, but that's something she could improve for next time. Our next contestant is very fit, and that doesn't hurt for a swimsuit competition, right? But I do think that in the future that her poses can be a little bit cleaner. She has a lot of potential here though, that's what she's showing me. And also I would have switched up the hairstyle next time. At this point in the show, this was my favorite swimsuit performance so far, definitely in the top 5. She looked really, really great. She was very confident. This stood out for me. I feel like you can tell that she's practiced. I do, however, feel like bouncing in and out of poses can negatively impact your score. And the other thing I would encourage for her is to increase her facial expression changes for swim, so not just holding the same face the entire time. I thought our next contestant is very pretty on stage. This is definitely a swimsuit performance that I would be advancing into the next round. I feel like she looks good here, and I also get the sense that she's practiced or definitely put in some time into her walk. She's not just showing up during pageant weekend and crossing her fingers. I do still feel like there is more room for improvement overall, but I would be moving her forward. Our next contestant in her cute little one-piece swimsuit, I feel like she did a good job. I think that one thing that will improve this walk is reducing the bouncing. She has like this little mini bounce, and whenever I see the bounce, it reminds me a lot of youth pageants and not Miss Pageantry. The hairstyle on our next contestant really shows off her face, and she is so beautiful. Aside from that, she did a great job with this. She was very confident, and confidence really is going to carry you in a swimsuit competition, so I would advance her. Here we have a very tall contestant, and I feel like this is a natural advantage in pageants just because you look striking on stage. It's like we're gonna look at you just because of your height. You already got everybody's attention. I do, however, feel like she didn't get enough eye contact with the judges, so I hope that she'll keep working on that. She is very confident, and I feel like she's really nailing her poses. I was drawn to the confidence. She also just looks great here with her styling. I would immediately advance her. This was great. First thing I noticed is she's very fit. She did a really good job overall. However, I do feel like the posture can be improved. And I feel like this is just an issue largely because of our addiction to our phones and social media. People refer to it as tech neck whenever we're like this all the time. So you really have to make that extra effort to be opening up your chest and holding your head up straight. She's beautiful. My only critique for her really, or my main critique, would have just been to connect more with the audience and the judges. You really need that eye contact. Honestly, this gown looks really great on her body. Excellent fit. I do, however, feel like the styling can be better and the walk can be improved. But, you know, she's tall. She's going to grab your attention. She just needs to hone in on her onstage skills a little bit more. Christina looked gorgeous in this evening gown, and what I felt from her was that this gown was a step up from what she brought to Miss Universe Philippines. And she, you know, she's competed at Miss Universe Great Britain before, and she's placed, and then she went to Universe Philippines, placed, and I feel like she was at this point where she's like, I'm gonna make sure that I come home with this crown. And part of my plan for that is by wearing this absolutely gorgeous, stunning gown that it's gonna, when they see me in it, it's gonna be undeniable that I look like the winner, right? Like, I feel like looking like the winner is different than performing like the winner, and what you want to do is both. So she did an excellent job here. My only concern here, when I see a gown this good at a national pageant, right? And I think this gown would have looked even better on a bigger stage with more lights, cameras, all of that stuff, is I hope that when she goes to Miss Universe, that her universe gown is at least this standard and that she doesn't revert. But I do see it a lot where when you go to that next level, you overthink and then you end up reverting and you don't do as well as you did at your national pageant, right? So I like this gown. Honestly, I feel like this is even a great gown for the preliminary evening gown competition. You can reuse this one. And then if you want something, if you really want something new switched up for finals, bring something else. But this is a beautiful evening gown. I loved this evening gown, the silver, the draping. It looked really, really great with her dark hair. Overall, she did a good job here, but I feel like she was just missing a moment. Like, she really needed to have that moment where you're like, oh, wow, you have to have that. When I saw our next contestant, immediately I was like, okay, I like this gown. I see the effort. I do, however, believe that the construction needed to be improved. It was bunching up around her waist, and that was really distracting me. But the color was nice on her, the styling, all of that. I feel like her overall presentation was good. She was confident. I would be advancing her from this point. She stood out to me. No, I thought that this color of an evening gown was really, really beautiful. It was a great choice for her. I do, however, feel like sometimes when we have these styles of gown with a slit for one reason or another, it makes contestants walk on two tracks versus crossing over. I feel like they don't cross over because you're worried that the gown is going to get caught up in your feet, which is a genuine concern, which is why sometimes these styles aren't always the best choice for competition. But she looked really beautiful. She was very confident, and I hope she comes back. I have mixed feelings about this evening gown. I feel like the construction could be better, and because there is room for that improvement, sometimes the gown can be distracting a little bit versus really showcasing a contestant. But, you know, she was carrying the gown very well, and it was a performance to me that stuck out in my mind. I want to draw attention to our next contestant because I do see a lot of potential here. I do feel like the gown was very underwhelming for this particular competition, but I also really feel like it is the girl, it's not the gown. So I wish the judges would have paid just a little bit more attention only to her and not really focus on the evening gown, because I do feel like there was potential to move forward. I love this evening gown on her. I feel like this was a really great choice. She looked very beautiful in this. So just by nature of how she looked, she's going to be a little bit more memorable, but I do feel like the walk can be improved for next time. I personally loved her. I feel like she is so stunning. Now, I don't think this was the best evening gown choice for her just because the bottom of it was quite distracting. So moving forward, I would put her in new wardrobe. I would really show off that face. She is so gorgeous. And I would also really encourage her not to dip the head so low all the time. You know, it's nice to have a little bit of head movement now and then, but I feel like we get into kind of dangerous territory where we're losing points when contestants either raise the head too high or pop the head or dip the head too low. So you really want to kind of be right in the middle. I always just think about trying to make the chin parallel to the floor and then using your eyes to connect with everybody. This is a great choice for her in terms of color. She looked really beautiful. I feel like the walk does need some work, but I see a lot of potential because of her soft facial expression. So honestly, if you work on the walk, facial expressions can get you really far in Universe. And I also didn't feel like she needed to flip her hair like that. So I would leave that out next time. Chartreuse is a really unique color to wear for a gown, but honestly, like, a lot of girls look really great in it. And I was surprised to see this contestant because she has blonde hair and I wouldn't really expect that. And it looked beautiful though. I thought she looked great. I really wish that she would have dropped the opera cape. I feel like that's a part of these gowns. Like, you don't want to It's a lot of fabric, so I feel like at some point you kind of need to drop that opera cape. But the color was really unique, and facially I thought she was just so beautiful, but she did need a different ending pose. I wasn't a fan of the flowers on this gown, but she was beautiful. And I think that overall she did a really good job. So I think in the future, just focusing on a little bit more posture and changing the styling would be great. Also, there was a point in the show where I was gonna lose my mind because they played the same song on repeat for Evening Gown. Please don't do that to audiences. Please don't do that. Now we narrowed down to a top 10, and frankly for me there were no surprises here. I also really liked that they did the little kind of warm-up question, so to speak, with the top 10. They gave them a very simple, light question, and we got to see a little bit of the contestants' personality before we went into the top 5, and I love that in a show. Because I feel like a lot of contestants, yes, you can prepare for an onstage question, but a lot of them struggle showing their personality, and I feel like it's such an asset when you do. And so I like that they had the chance to do that. So now let's talk about our top 5 and the questions they were asked and their answers. First contestant was asked, what is the most important thing a woman can do for herself? I like it. She said the most important thing that we can do for ourselves is to believe in herself, and that's why I'm standing here today. She talked about being a young entrepreneur. Now, honestly, she did have a little bit of a personal connection in this answer, which is good. It's good. But in order to get to that next level, I feel like she needs to work a lot more on her delivery. I thought it sounded a little bit rehearsed, a little bit canned. So moving forward, in order to improve that score, get closer to that crown, or hopefully capture that crown, yes, you want to have the branding points. You want to have the content prepared, but also you're going to need that natural delivery. Our next contestant was asked, none of us on this planet really think we're good enough. How do you manage your limiting beliefs? She said, I believe that sometimes we think that we have to look a certain way, but ever since being on this stage with these amazing women, it made me feel that I am limitless. She talked about believing and putting your mind to things that you want to achieve, and that's how you can overcome your limitations. So I felt that this answer was pretty generic. I wish that she would have shared something personal. I wish she would have talked about maybe a limiting belief that she's overcome and how specifically that she's done that. Next question. If you could transport yourself back to a moment in time, what would you choose and why? And she said, we stand here as women with the right to vote because of the brave ladies who fought for us in the late centuries. So I'd like to go back to the time of the suffragettes to fight alongside them so that we can stand today in a universe. We are here, we are celebrated, protected, and respected. So I thought that this was good to make a reference to history and talking about suffragettes and women. Hypothetical question to answer just because it's so broad. There's so many options here. But there was something about the answer that to me just felt like very safe and was barely missing the mark. I thought that she spoke really well, but there was nothing really in the answer that I felt captured emotion or demonstrated why she's the best pick to be the next title holder. So I feel like there were some missed opportunities in this one. Our next contestant was asked about how she defines success, and she believes it comes from deep within. She talked a little bit about how some people define success through material items, but that she believes that joy is the key to your self-worth and the true key to success, because when you have that, you can go out into the world and conquer and be the best person you can be. So I feel like this was good, but she could have referenced some personal success and how she feels like she is a success, or how she's working towards a goal, and once she achieves that goal, she will feel a greater sense of success. I feel like she could have gone that direction. Next question is fun, and this was asked to our queen. They asked her, if you had to explain the concept of pageantry to an alien who just got to Earth, what would you say to them? She said, well, I think pageantry really means a lot of different things to everyone in this room. I see so many beautiful crowns. I see crowns that are invisible on us, but I know every single person today is going to walk away a winner. It truly means taking a chance, being the person that you want to be, to really leap forward. Everyone on this stage knows that this is not my first rodeo, but it won't be my last. So fingers crossed, let's go universe. So she had an overall positive message here, which I always think is a good thing, but she also talked about the invisible crowns that everybody's wearing, and I really liked that point. I thought that was lovely. But then in the end, she mentioned that everybody on this stage knows this isn't her first rodeo, but she'll be back, and she's obviously hoping that that'll be at Miss Universe, that will be her next stage. And this is a really common denominator in a lot of winning answers, where contestants will somehow reference being the winner in some way, right? Or moving on to that next level, or representing their country or their state or their city at that next level, and maybe what that would mean to them. So this is it's a very common strategy that we've seen. Here are our results I finally heard some of the contestants' names at this point in the show. Earlier, I couldn't hear with all of the audio. It didn't always come across clearly. Second runner-up was Evangeline. Our first runner-up was Allison. And our queen, as mentioned, was Christina. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to all the contestants. Interesting, though, that they didn't announce, or I didn't see it, a third and a fourth runner-up. That was a little bit different. But my other thought about this was, for my contestant in the white evening gown, I honestly thought that she would have at least been first or second runner-up. I thought that she would have been a little higher up there. I really liked her overall. So I think Christina puts a lot of dedication into all of her prep, and that's really clear. Like, there's a lot of effort there. I love how I've seen her transform with, you know, her evening gown, her styling. It was really fun watching her compete at Miss Universe Philippines. Honestly, go back and watch those performances because those are really, really great as well. She was definitely one of my favorites at Miss Universe Philippines, and I talked about her a lot, and she was somebody that I could have seen in that top 5 as well. So she is a great competitor. I think moving forward for Miss Universe, she'll need to continue working on that walk. I do believe that needs to be a little bit stronger, but her strengths really are her interview, her speaking skills, and she didn't really touch on it in this pageant, but she has a really interesting story, how she's moved and lived in several different countries and changed careers and felt depressed, and now she's shared her story about overcoming that depression with so many other young women. And so she's got a lot of really great things to share. So I really, really like her. I'm just so excited that she's finally going to Miss Universe. The other thing to say about Great Britain, though, is that they've done pretty well in the past few years. They haven't had a top 5 placement, but they placed semifinals in 2013, 2017, 2018, 2020, and 21. And I feel like they're one of the countries that doesn't have this big sash factor, so people don't really talk about them, but they're getting these placements pretty consistently. So look out for Miss Universe Great Britain. They've sent a lot of great representatives over the past decade, and I feel like Christina is no exception. So I'm excited to cheer for her and watch her journey. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you very soon at the next episode.